start recording. I should have started before I gave my spiel. Take the screen, full screen, and I'm gonna have Mr. Z spin it and then we'll get going. A little bit over the shoulders. And just angle to the right. Yeah, that looks good. Good, okay. And just so you know, today was back and biceps, but yesterday was leg day, so I need to warm up. Turn attention. This is my 2B. Good. We'll start with some jumping jacks. We'll just do 50 jumping jacks. Stay with me. Begin. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Give me just a second here. I may need Mr. Z's help. I'll come down here. I have to move it. Yeah. Give me a sec. Here. So you guys use your computer. I have to look on Mr. Z's computer and get a full view. Good. Okay. So everybody right there. Good. Okay. Again, I'll put our riggy. We'll do regular, and then we're going to do inside out. Let's just do 8 each side. So ready, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 with the key up. Good, other side. Good, this side, ready, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Good. And switching. And again, inside out. Not axe kick. Swing it wide. Again, open your leg up. Make a crescent kick more than an axe kick. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 8, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Good. Switch. Good. Okay, so to the other side. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Good. Okay, feet wide. Good. Again, bending into the left. And again, I'm not trying to get very static. I'm kind of moving a little bit here. Not bouncing, but moving. Other side. Good. We go back. And the other thing I want you guys to think about is when I started, when I got my black belt in Kung Fu belt, Nachi Chodan was basically a form you learn for first dan. Okay. So anybody who's a first dan right now and is really close, back to the side one more time, and is at the beginnings of their first dan research process, getting a handle on Nachi Chodan is a good idea. Back to the other side. Nachi Idan was a second dan form. We learned it as a first dan going to second. And then Hachi Sangdan is a third dan form, second to third. Okay? Let's sit a little deeper.
Me too, sir.
Yes. Which means Master Kaufman is ancient. Good. Back to the other side. These are very traditional forms, and the Hanchi means iron horse. So we're going to be in a horse stance a lot. And like I said, I'm going to demonstrate just at the beginning. I know I've done it before, but I'm going to remind you guys of back again. Good. Let's turn to a runner's lunge. Get the top of our legs a little bit more. Good. Push that back heel back and push that back knee up. See that? Up. And then I'm pushing my back knee up and my front knee forward. Drop, roll that foot under. And again, a little hip flexor stretch here. See myself, I get a little lower, and a little lower, and a little lower. Also try not to let this knee go out too much. Where some people have a tendency to let this go out to get lower. Make it go forward more. You'll feel that here more. This all of a sudden moves into a different place. Good, okay. So, sit back, straighten that leg, reach down. Man, I like these because these are kind of compact stretches. And you can also do the stretch, and if you're really flexible, where you stand, I'll show you like this. Back foot's a little sideways, but then you square your hips up. You turn that trail hip in, and then you move down. So from here, I turn that hip in square, and I move down this leg. And again, it's kind of like crossing the legs over. It tightens everything up. So we'll go the other way. Same thing. And again, I sit into it. I get my foot back where I need it. And then I start focusing on pushing my back knee up. And once I feel like that back leg's really straight, I start moving forward. I'm trying to get separation between my lead hamstring and my trail, my lead hamstring and my trail quadriceps. Making both of them longer. Drop. I know it's not possible. Oh, it may be impossible, but I'm trying to get my knees as far apart as I can as I sit into. Good. Turning sideways. Reaching down. Good. Okay. And everybody standing up. Turn off your uniforms. We got your background attention.
Master Barnes, can I adjust two people before you start?
Yes, ma'am.
Gunnar, are you on an iPad or an iPhone?
You like pointed straight up his nostrils?
iPad.
Can you tip your iPad anymore so I can see more of you, or no?
It's almost a stand. It's angled.
So
If you have it like that, that's good.
or upright.
That's good, like that. If you can find a way to make it stay like that.
I'm working on it.
Thank you. Mr. Minikowski, all you have to do is back up half a step if you can. Yes, that's good. Now they're good, sir.
We're using a sparring boot to make sure that the computer is at the right. I look, that's a monitor there, and this is what I'm teaching. Okay.
That's good for me.
Break that iPad. Sorry, half broken.
Or that. That's also good.
That's good.
Oh.
Yeah. The one thing to go along with what Master Kaufman said is when you're in your horse, one thing that's going to be hard for us to see is okay. We want to work as we move forward in all of your training, no matter what we're doing. You're in a basic class, you're in an advanced class. I'm getting to the point where, to me, this feels, with my feet square, it feels very different than this. This puts a little more strain on my quads and a little less on the inside of my legs. You want to learn what a good horse stance. You want to look at it, right, in a mirror, whatever you can. That's what the mirrors are for. And then you want to think to yourself, what does this feel like? Right? To the point where you go like this and you think, oh, that feels different. And I'm talking to you too, Sander. Oh, and by the way, here's my tip for Sander. This isn't good enough. Like that. Good. Okay, a couple quick things. We're going to start with the Hachichoran. As I said, Hachichoran was the last form I learned before first time. It's, you step into it with the right foot. And everybody, so much trouble, so much trouble. Blah, 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 blah. It's the only one, so it should be obvious. The other thing, too, is I want to show you guys, we're going to do these forms. The people who are just learning, being very square, like that, is fine. For the people who are more advanced, there's going to be a lot more rotation. I'm also going to show you the intricacies of that move right there. We do that in a lot of forms. We do it in Ojong. That motion, what it really signifies, particularly in this application, when you go here and here, is basically grabbing someone's head and breaking their neck. Sorry, sounds gross, but okay, so everybody take attention. Yeah, so that 2D. Good, Senahachi Chodan. Now you may have to shuffle. These forms have tremendous width and almost no depth, okay? And I may have to shuffle too so I stay in frame. So Nahachi Chodan, you open your hands, you bring your feet together, hands like this, and down from here, okay? Now again, I'm gonna cross step. This is inward step advance, and I'll show you from the side. When I do this, I'm not trying to get all the way back here. I'm just gonna put heel to toe. So from here, first move, pull your hands in, cross step, down like this. Right hand over left, step up, horse stance, grab it. Elbow, and again, watch. Elbow, one hand, right hand up. So this one, my lower hand, my left hand, inside the arm up, this one down, and then snap. Right? Low block, cross punch. Good. Cross step, back fist, 1, 2, 3. And I stepped the wrong way. I'm sorry. I stepped the wrong way. I've been doing so many things inverted. So we're here. What do you think? No, I did right. I'm sorry. I've been doing so many things inverted. I went through this twice in my head. So let's start again. Good. 1, 2. Cross, and again, basic students or students just learning this, keep it square. For more advanced students, twist, grab, elbow back, elbow up and down, back fist, low block cross punch, cross step, back fist in every Nahachi form. 1, 2, 3. Now we're gonna wrap. 1, and again, don't let your horse stance collapse. Other way, 2, chamber, and again, parallel. You've seen this in so many forms. This is the same position you end up in Samjang. Repeat, grab, elbow, chamber, low block, cross punch. And again, from here, we're gonna cross step, and I'm shuffling on purpose. 1, and it's not chamber. Big circle, 2, 3. Always outside first. 1, 2, chamber, and then bar off. Sorry, sometimes when I'm talking, let me step out with the right and back with it. When I'm talking, I lose track of where I am. Again, remember, when you're doing these motions from here, arms together, this is, so see, but you know how to do this. We're gonna do it again, and I'm gonna do it a little flat. So, Stephanie, Zach, Rizzo, who haven't had any experience with these forms, even better when you're getting comfortable with it. Do it flat. So I'm not going to do as much turning. You'll see all I'm going to focus on is making sure my horse stance stays intact. Instead of giving myself a little bit of latitude with my horse stance. So Richudi, one more time, say Nahachi Chodan. So Nahachi Chodan, open my hands. Here. Again, nice and clean. So from here, in, cross. I'm going to stay very square. I'm going to keep my chest facing you. Keep my chest facing you. Down like this. And again, a much more basic interpretation. Cross step, keeping my chest facing you. 1, 2, 3. We're gonna wrap here, chamber, under, and again, you notice where I'm focused on is a good horse stance and keeping my body facing you. Elbow, back fist, low block, cross punch. And again, a much more basic interpretation or execution. 1, 2, 3. Wrapping, chamber, and bar up. You can see they're very basic, and as a result, some people think they're overly simple, but they're not.
Master Barnes, can we talk about the cross punch being straight?
Yeah, so when I do low block, that.
Yes, sir.
Low block, that. You see, there's no hooking to it. Is that what we're talking about, Master Coughlin?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the other thing to think about, so when I do this, either side, low block, you can't see my elbow, it's not hanging out here, cross punch. It's the same thing as this.
So that was the second one I was going to ask you if you could talk about, sir. We have a little bit of not straight.
Okay, what we've got is we've got parallels. Okay, parallel with each other. We're parallel with each other on 2 levels. This is my upper arm's parallel with the floor. This is parallel with the floor and with this arm. So these 2 arms are parallel, but they're also parallel this way. Some people have a tendency like this. Now they're not parallel with each other on this plane. So these are biplane, yeah, like that, right? And the only way to get it is discipline and practice and an understanding. So you have to have the understanding first. So when I do low block, cross punch, and again, you see my feet are in line with you, but this is parallel. So this forms a series of parallel lines, and what the parallel lines are doing is they're walking forward. That's the inward step advance. So if I can symbolize it, hold on a second. There's a series of parallel lines going backwards and forwards. And depending on your size and the size of your feet, but you want to think that's why when I was doing that more basic execution of it, I was keeping everything square. So if I've got this parallel line and I'm moving along this line, right? And then I step inside and I'm going here. And then I step inside and I'm going here. More advanced executions will have twists, but you've got to end up parallel again, right? So the other thing, and I was realizing this because I'm looking at you the whole time. Master Vendetti asked this a couple weeks ago when we were doing Hachi forms. Your eyes, right? So I'm just going to quickly show you guys from the beginning of this. Now I'm going to stand a little closer because I'm only going to show you a piece of it, right? The way your head moves. So from here, I'm going to look down. Then I'm going to look to the side. Then I'm going to elbow and look this way because my next technique's going this way. The minute my foot hits my head goes center. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to look that way, and then snap back. So the idea is you can tell a lot. This is where the dynamism comes in. So junior belts, just remember the pattern, work on the footwork, keep yourself square. But again, this, very important. Remember, we do Samjang. Same orientation, you see? Parallel, 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 like that, okay? So we're gonna do this one more time, and I've kind of scratched. We're not gonna get to Nachi San. We'll do Nachi E, Cho and E, because I'm afraid on the one hand of overloading you guys and giving you too much, and then not the details not being important enough. So everybody should eat.
My last comment would just be to the gentlemen as they think about this. If you watch Master Barnes do it, it's very smooth and his whole body is moving, not just his shoulders and his arms.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, and here,
Like, you're all connected.
this is all about power. And power is generated with rotation. In other words, it's not this. So this, I mean, that's good. You can see from the side, round, right, round, and you're snapping your chest and your shoulders. The idea is we're adding that third element. Remember, 3 rotations for power, right? This, body rotation, right? So, and then the foot. And we don't get the foot in this. That's why when I go here, I'm going to twist, but I've got to make sure I end up on that parallel line, okay? One of the things about this is, and I'm not sure if it's the Samram curriculum was developed recently, and this one's ancient, but there are multiple things that you've got to work on. You've got to think about the geometry of this one very, very closely, okay? So make sure attention. Good chi, and again, we step out with our left foot, and the Hanchi Chodan. So iron horse number 1, open our hands, in and out. Remember, cross step, this is a groin block. I'm looking down, I'm looking to my right first, reach, grab. Elbow, remember, 1 up, 1 down, snap. Low block, cross punch. Now I'm gonna have to shuffle a little bit, but I normally would. Cross step, back fist. Down, here. Twisting, 1. Now you can almost see the logo on my uniform. 2, grab, 1, 2, 3. Low block, cross punch. And I'm looking at you, but I'd normally be looking that way. I'm gonna cross step, my eyes are gonna go center. Back fist. 1, 2, 3. Looking outside. 1, inside. 2, snap square. In, here are my 2 parallels. And then right foot return. Shot. 1, 2. They're so simple, but that means that they strip away a lot of the garbage so you can focus on what's important. Oh, the back fist. So go boom from here. Remember these big circles, right? Low block cross punch from here, right? So initially we'll teach you guys, much like one set sparring, we don't let you chamber anymore. From here, low block cross punch. From here, this is a big circle, and I hit this position, but I slide right through it. Remember, a couple of weeks ago we were talking about those bigger circles. I want the more basic students, right? Arms together here. For you guys, and I know this is not, and I've spoken with Dr. Chu on many occasions about direct to chamber. The idea for me, when I go low block cross punch, my direct to chamber is getting this as deep as I can, and then coming out, as opposed to this, where it's here, my arms are apart. Right, so I'm gonna get back here, because from here I can deliver a block here, I can deliver it anywhere. From here, I've got to get there for that to happen, okay? So we'll do it one more time, then we'll do Nahachi down. And again, remember, first dons. I want you to know Nahachi Chodan first. And then Nahachi Idan will be something you will do as you move up. Second dons, I want you to know all three, and I think all the second dons, with the exception on this, probably the exception on this, possibly the exception of Gunner, no Nahachi Samdan, right? So we want to backfill a little bit because Nahachi Chodan, you know, got lost. So the Chuni last time, say Nahachi Chodan, and I'll slide here because I know I'm moving that way first. Again, Nahachi Chuni. So what I think of is, as my butt goes down, my hands go up, and then they reverse each other, right? And that's the time, you notice again, it's not very jerky. I'll go from here. And if I look, if you see from the side, I'm gonna go. Nice body motion. So I'm letting my body, I'm letting all this deliver the power. In, looking down, looking to your right. Grab. Elbow, back foot. I'm sorry, rechamber. Low block, cross punch. Big cross step, turn, back fist. 1, and notice this position. It's not here. It's not across my body. This is a pelvis punch. 1, back fist, low block, back fist. Good. Looking to the outside first. 1, 2, chamber, cross, grab, elbow, look, cross punch. Look center, back fist. 1, 2, 3. Outside, 1, inside, 2, back. Shoulder, out, and I always go out and back with my right. Even though we went out with our left, and with the right, technically out. Okay. The other thing, and some of you have heard me say this before, talk about this. Grandmaster King in Pittsburgh had large dojang, and he had a floor that I think was, I know it was painted plywood, but underneath I think they had maybe carpet matting. And when you did Nahachi forms there, when I watched him do it, Grandmaster Bruno do it, there was a lot of heel stomping. So it would be boom, boom. It would be boom, boom. Right? Low block, cross punch, boom, boom. And then they go outside. So there's a lot of, what that demonstrated to me all the time was that for this form to be right, you can't be back on your heels. That's why I emphasize this kind of shoulders, hips, ankles, knees forward. The easiest thing in the world should be to pick up your heels. It shouldn't be easy to pick up your toes, okay? So we're gonna move to Nahachi. We're not gonna do as many times because we've got some time limitations. We do want to start giving you guys stuff that you can work on your own. Nahachi Chodan is the only one with its own Chun-Li, right? Okay, so everybody turn your attention. You bow, Chun-Li. Good, say Nahachi Idan. Now it's gonna use similar footwork. It's not, they're all symmetrical with a couple of little curveballs in them, okay? So the first move, and I'm gonna show you this without stepping. It's here, to here. And this orientation is always something that I've emphasized. You notice my shoulders are sloping down. I'm not up like this. My hands aren't down here. My arms are parallel. It's almost like I'm ripping. These are 2 elbow strikes. And if you look at me from the side, right? Okay? So from here, from 2B, we're going to move this way. Big circle, pull across. Keep your knuckles together. Reinforce block, horse stance. Good. Now from here again, you're going to put this hand down. You're going to block into it here. So down, cross step, and now big internal rotation here. We're going to go back the other way. Same thing. Here. Here. And I just shuffle. And again, down and here. And watch, I'm going to get closer. Fist open, cover. Block this way. Now think elbow strike to a guy standing right in front of you. Yeah. Now back to Nahachi. What we do in every Nahachi form. Cross step, back fist. 1, 2, 3. And remember, 1, 2, back fist, not this, right? And a 90 degrees. 3. Now watch, we're going to do that same thing. Open, cover, block. And this is a 45 degree, maybe a little less, maybe 30 degrees. So it's closer to sideways than it is to forward. Down, pull back. 1, 2, cross step. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Return. Shoulder. So a couple of things to think about with this form. Same fundamentals. So if you're good at Nahachi Chodan, if you get good at Nahachi Chodan, you absolutely it'll be much easier to get good at Nahachi Chodan and Sanjan and so on and so forth. This motion here. This is a blocking motion. It's also a gooseneck. Master Semaine always talked to me about your 2 longest fingers being above your wrist. So I don't know if you can see that right there. I'm sorry, right here.
Yes, sir.
Like that, right? So I'm not slamming my hand into my fist. It's almost what it is it's a blocking motion, forearm rotation there. And what this simulates is trapping someone's wrist, because that is always a wrist lock. Whenever you see a motion like that in traditional martial arts, it's a hard interpretation of a wrist locking motion, like that. So it's like someone grabbed you, trapped them, and broke their wrist like that, okay?
It's also reinforcing his arm, not his elbow.
Yeah, and by the way, we used to reinforce block like this. It's funny because it's changed a little bit, but Master Kaufman used to know if you had any contact at all, it was pinky and maybe ring finger like this. We're doing it a little bit differently because I go from here. You see that? That's my orientation. So I go. So this has to be parallel. Because of this orientation, this has to be in a little bit. It can't be parallel like this because they wouldn't be touching. Okay? So let's do it one more time. Good, okay. Everybody take attention. And you out. 2B. Good, okay. Stay on Chiina. And again, these are big circles across, just like I talked about with these motions here. I want you to feel like your elbows come across each other and snap out. But again, you can see this. My arms are parallel with the floor. My shoulders aren't hunched. I've got a nice relaxed shoulder line, and my upper arms are angled down slightly. So I'm like with the dagger arm. This orientation, I'm gonna let this drop a little bit. Okay. So from here, cross step, big circle, here. Now, just knuckles close together, twisting, blocking. And again, that's the same thing that we just showed you. Looking down, you're gonna snap your right wrist and arm into this. And use your middle finger as your kind of guide. Big rotation, break the wrist, here. Going back the other way, same thing, arms up, here. And again, chest high, right? Twisting, here. And I just shuffle, down. I wish I was in Wilmington for this. And right, see, center line of my body, not out here. Center line of my body, here. Open, and again, open your left hand, close your right, cover. I recreated this block up here, right? Grab the wrist, pull the right leg up, twist, block, cross punch, and again, I'm looking at you, cross step where I wouldn't normally be. 1, 2, 3. Open top hand, cover. We're gonna repeat. Again, this is like a wrist lock. Here, grab the hand. Yeah. Looking, cross, punch. And that's a back fist, not an inside block. Pelvis punch, back fist, low block, back fist. And I'm just gonna show you that one more time. So I went from here. The basic interpretation is just this and that. But for the guys, when Master Kaufman was talking about whole body, that's what these forms are about. Stance is locked. If I go too far, my stance sticks. If I don't go far enough, I don't have enough power. So I'm here, big circle, you see I'm fighting with this leg. 1, pull back a little, 2, right? Like that. So bottom, chop, comes on the eye, tongue soup. I'm gonna come in and talk to you guys really quickly, and then we're gonna kind of divvy things up. You don't need that.
I'm not sure that the ladies don't also do it. It's just clearly noticeable with the gentleman's shoulders, so.
This is going to take some time, but when I talked about this, I was thinking about this and what do we do today? And the one thing is I feel like I'm teaching less. And we don't want anybody to start getting into bad habits because we're not watching. And I know Master Kaufman and Master Vendetti are watching. This class, the nice thing about this is we only got 10 or 12 of you instead of 35 or 40. So we're going to watch you more closely. If you can take a basic form, a stripped down form without the 360 jump spinning kicks and all that other stuff, and you can make it look good, that is what we're looking for. Okay? So I'm going to unmute you guys for a second because we want to go down the line. So has anybody been working on anything on their own at home before we go anywhere else? If you've been working on something. Anybody?
I was learning Nahachi, sir.
Not which
Three of them.
All 3 of them?
I knew the third, and then I was working and practicing on the first and second. Sir.
Okay, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see Nahachi Idon from Sam. I saw Ms. Elvin talking, but I couldn't hear her for some reason.
Nunchuck, sir.
Nunchuck, why don't you get him? What about you, Zach?
I'm also working on nunchuck, but I'm also trying to learn yoke too, sir. Yoke
What
job.
would you rather do?
Nunchuck, sir.
Okay. Is it possible in the space that you've got to do it simultaneously, or should we do it separately, one at a time?
At the same time, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Jonas, Nunchuck, you up for that?
I will get it.
He muted and unmuted really quickly.
He said he would get them, sir.
I know. Oh, he said he could get them, and he goes like this. He goes, and he pulls them right out. They're right next to the computer. Don't wear yourself out running back in the back room for him. What about?
Can I tell Master Vendetti what I wanted to do, sir?
Absolutely. And I was going to ask Dr. Chu actually to do ship suit to whatever effect he can, because we have that alternative execution. Steph, have you been working on anything?
No, sir.
You were. Wait, is Sword your next recert, or is it Chuck? What color is your stripe? Say again?
White, sir.
Other half of O.
Oh. Why don't you call it O? Ms. McBean, what were you working on?
Nunchuck.
I'm working on yoke, sir, but I haven't learned yet, but I do.
What? Have you your next recert is Nunchuck?
No, we did that.
No, sir.
Nunchuck, yeah, you're working on so you haven't really been working on Yuck?
No, sir.
Once you Sander, how many of the Nahachi forms you know?
I know the third, and I'm pretty confident with the first. I don't know.
To do Nahachi Chill, I'll have Sam doing Nahachi E. Gunner. Can't do Chuck 2 in the living room. There's too much potential for damage, right? I want to see Chill from you.
Or his dagger.
Which one would you rather do?
I don't mind either one.
Chill it is. Mr. Minkowski, what are your druthers in terms of what you want seen?
Paul Jung, sir.
Paul Jung, okay. So we all have our marching orders. Let's see, right? Okay, so
I want to see Master Vendetti do either Rohai or Konsenkun.
Yes, ma'am.
And she can choose which one, or you can, sir. For her version versus what we.
it has to be Kong Sen-kun.
Sir.
Just because it's the core of traditional. So everybody get what you need. Step back. We're going to watch. because everybody's doing this at the same time, I'm gonna try and make sure I pick up individual things for each person, but I'm not gonna wanna talk during all of this. I'm actually gonna mute you guys because I don't want you hearing each other when you're key-upping. So I'm gonna go ahead and mute you guys. I'll be quiet. Good, okay, everybody turn attention. Can you bow? Good, Chimbi. So Master Coughlin, it looks like I got Mr. Minikowski, Mr. McBean, Mr. Wall, Stephanie, and Dr. Chu. That's my side of the screen here. Or does that mess you up? Okay, or I can switch to the other side. Okay, so Zach and his mom are negotiating, positioning, and don't kill each other. Okay, so if you have a Chimbi, go to it. Begin. I'll turn on. Sammy Barrow.
Master Barnes, you think Master Vendetti was breathing at all?
I hope so. I hope so. She can hear you because she can hear me. Borrow Master Vendetti. Borrow Gunner. Borrow Steph. Borrow Mr. Minikowski.
Zelvin household is definitely doing karate via committee right now.
Borrow Dr. Chu. It's fine.
It's good.
Good. Okay, I'm gonna unmute you guys. I'm gonna let Master Coughlin go first, but I couldn't keep my eye on just one person. I was watching pretty much everyone. Let me see. Unmute off. There we are. Good. Okay, we're back. So, Master Coughlin, any specific advice for the people?
Mr. Jacobson, you need full chambers. Like you're such in a rush to get to the next move that you half chamber it. It's all chambered, but it's half chambered. So you don't have as much body. Well, you're probably trying to remember it and working in a small space. So I get that. Steph, don't stare at the floor, even if you forget what you're doing.
Steph, remember?
Just trying so hard to remember it. Master Vendetti, the only thing I would say is the pace between you. It's hard to tell what's, like if it's the space that you're doing it in that messes up the geometrics of it, which I'm going to go with it's the space that you're in. Like after she kicked, she kind of like toppled one direction, but I don't know if it's you were trying to shuffle.
My other comment to Master Vendetti is to work a little bit on this transition. A lot of people struggle with this. This transition where your upper body's doing one thing, and it's hard to do. Where your upper body's doing one thing and your lower body's doing another. In other words, I let my upper body dictate everything. It should be a little more cohesive. In other words, it shouldn't be like you see some people, and again, I'm having trouble doing this, where it's like that, where everything's separate. I always thought of turning my chest as far as I could and then chest that way. So it's almost like a draw.
Yeah.
A drawing like that. So from here, right? Going to Sandra and Sam.
Oh,
I see what Master Coughlin was talking about, and what she's talking about. When she said shoulders, I was thinking a little different. Like I saw Sandra go from here. You went like this. Instead of reaching back like that. think of it this way. The farther the,
There you go. That was better.
yeah, and Sam, a little bit the same thing. In other words, you start here and everything's kind of disconnected. So the idea would be if I start to form here, and then from here, my body's square, my arms are square. Everything turns and my foot follows. Think of it this way. When we did, and a lot of you guys have heard this, when we did Basai Sho or Basai Day, the idea was hands start moving first, shoulders have to follow eventually, then the hips have to follow, and the last thing that goes is the feet. It's the same concept from here, whether it's here, right, or from here. I don't want to pick my foot up, but I have to there. And that means that you're building torque. You build it from the top down and you deliver from the bottom up. Dr. Chu, a little bit more of that kind of violation of center line thing. Instead of it being here, start with your center line crossed.
Master Barnes, do you notice? He'll always be very good at that form. Do you notice the significant difference in the amount that he rotates when he goes right versus left? Especially when he's going away from us, he has so much more rotation on the right. Like when he's chambered, so his right leads than the left.
So what Master Coughlin's saying, and again, I'll have to do the opposite. So from here, and I guess all I'm saying is it's not about your wrists, it's about your elbows. Move across your center line, and again, I always thought of it violating my center line. Like that. The other thing I would say is when you're doing your kicks, as you do this, open your hands up so you can rotate your forearms. Instead of having them kind of square here, and it being all shoulder rotation. So I'll do this from here, and I'll turn square. And I'll keep my pinkies are close to you, and I'll do my kick, and you did a great job of holding your kicking side shoulder back, but then I'll open, and I remember again, Grandmaster Pak used to open, close, which is good because you can see that he's literally, like he's snapping, and that's gonna put more snap, because what Dr. Chu is doing is another form, it's very stripped down, so it's hard to make it look good.
I think the nunchuck group in general was good for their limited space, but they have to remember that the weapon is what drives them forward. Like their bodies are trying to move faster than the nunchuck, and nunchuck is a speed weapon.
Yeah, and Gunnar, when Master Coughlin was talking about full chambers, it's about precision and lock. Same thing for you, Steph. Like when you're going here, like that, right? So this move is 1. Right there. We've got to get, again, I see people, and when we talk about this stuff, we're talking about a story with a beginning and an end. A beginning, a middle, and an end. And everybody's technique needs to have this. So like getting back to that, Mr. Minikowski, the one thing I talk about with that form is making sure that when you do these, people tend to do them in here. You want to think about these being joint breaks, every single one of them, right? So it's boom, and then boom, and I got to talk to Master Coughlin about this because this is a school-wide thing. Everybody looks so stilted when they do this.
I think the other thing is, and I couldn't tell if it was because you were thinking about it, Mr. Minikowski, but there's like a hesitation before each move, as opposed to a fluid flow to the next move.
Man.
Well, and that's Mr. Minikowski and I have been working on that together in terms of, and again, that's the dynamic. It's clean. We want to, and I couldn't see Mr. Minikowski's feet and everything, but when we start getting the third down and fourth down, it's got to be dynamic. It's got to be dynamic. And the problem is people try and put dynamic first and clean second, and you can't. You got to have tight. You got to know where it's supposed to end, and then you got to get there as hard as you can, but stop exactly where you need to. And like I said, like Master Coughlin said, it's kind of hard to give this guidance because they were like dodging traffic on a New York street for that. But
all the moves are there. So you need to like separate from each other and do it, and then come back together and do it together.
Or
not like practice it so you aren't triggered by each other, because if you're not standing next to each other, you don't want that to be the reason you know it.
Yeah, and just as a sidebar for Mr. McBean's gone. He's gone, but for Jonas, your chuck handling has improved a lot.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if that's because you needed recovery time or whether you've been practicing.
Are you laying on the floor?
No, no, ma'am.
It's on a sofa.
Okay.
But I guess, so going forward, and again, Sander and Sam and Dr. Chu are all kind of in the same category in terms of it's about coordination. Like if I told you guys to get to the point where you didn't have to think of that form and make sure that you were delivering every technique with as much power as you could, but landing on the proper line, whether it's forward or backward. And like for Dr. Chu, when we're doing dynamic tension is one of the hardest things to do, right? Because you step back here and it's easy, that can feel fine. But the fact is what you're doing is this, right? Would you do this? Right? It doesn't feel powerful. And the reason my arms get big and my shoulders get close together, that's what I was talking with Sander and Sam and Master Vendetti, this will apply to you too, it applies to everybody, is from here. You guys are almost, so it's almost like, when I say my shoulders get close together, I'm talking about the points of my shoulders, bringing them together here, right? So I'm here and I drive down. I'm going to bring my shoulders together. And by the way, Master Kaufman, remember this is a Martin Page disease. My shoulders, I go from here and I go like this. My shoulders don't get any closer together. So forget about your arms. If you bring your shoulders together like that, your arms have to come together, right? Leave your arms out and bring your shoulders together. They have to come together. Think about closing your pectoral muscles. That's it, Sam, right? Don't worry about your arms. If you bring your shoulders together, your arms have to come together. If I try and leave my arms out and bring my shoulders together, it looks stupid, right? The equivalent, and the same thing about crossing your center line, Dr. Chu. It's like doing bench press or chest exercise. If you're doing this, right, it's about when you get to the top, pushing in like that. So pushing that in and pulling it out, right? So I would equate it from an exercise standpoint to top of a bench press to top of a row, right? Imagine you're laying on your back and you push up like that and you can completely stand up and go like this and then you go up like that. So those are the motions, and remember, they're the biggest, strongest muscles in your body aside from your legs.
We're also a nitpicky bunch. You all looked really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Master Kaufman said earlier, given the circumstances and the locations and stuff, but from right there, Sam. Now, no, don't turn your head. Just bring the tips of your shoulders together. Boom. It's almost like hunching. You're worried about your arms, right? So you're here, and you're going like this. How high can you get this elbow? How high can you get it? There, now, go. Would you feel your shoulder? Yeah. Right? So down here, my shoulders aren't, you notice if I try to bring, and this is for everybody when you're chambering this stuff, when you're doing low block, right? Chambering down here, my shoulders, if you guys feel it, if you put your elbow below your elbow and you bring it up high, everything gets pulled across closer together. This is what we're trying to do. The idea here, and forget about forms, the idea here is if you throw a punch like this, you're not going to hurt anything. This position here brings your shoulders together. Everybody wants to do this, right? Chest is open. From here, everything close together, right? So we're compact. So like Master Kaufman said, we're being nitpicky a little bit, but I'd like to continue, I'll think about it, but I'd like to continue next week, a quick review of Nahanchi E and then move to Nahanchi Sam. I'm not sure that that's all we'll do, but think about something that you want to work on, and it does not have to be your current research. I heard Mr. McBean talk about Yuk. I heard Zach talk about Yuk. I know Jonas wanted to work on Yuk. Go to the video, start working on it, right? The idea is when we get back, whenever that is, or we may not get back before the next time you guys test. Master Vendetti is going to help out and run some tests. We're going to kind of dry run it with some of the basic students where they don't need to know 18 million things. And we're doing it one at a time, which is actually going to be a nice deal, right? So, but think about what you want to work on. You can shoot me an email and say, hey, Master Barnes, I want to work on X or Y or Z, and that's fine. The other thing is you don't have to wait for these classes.
And film it and send it to us.
Absolutely. You can absolutely film it. And I'm not saying put it on YouTube or anything like that. Shoot it on an iPhone as long as it's not super long, or do it in pieces and I'll look at it. I've done that with students already. Okay. So, but I want particularly Sandra and Sam, I know I want you guys to know all 3 Nahonchi forms. I'd like everybody on here to know Nahonchi Chodan or to work on it. I've actually got it up on the website. It's there. It's there in the members only section. So if you go to Black Belt Forms, it's in there. Okay. So any questions? Let me unmute. Did I unmute everybody? Is everybody unmuted? Speak, somebody, anybody.
Sure.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. So does anybody have any questions for me or for Master Coughlin or anybody else?
No, sir.
Sir,
Okay.